Hi, my name is Renee with the Flippin' Tilbies, and today I'm going to be sharing with you my top tips for visiting the national parks during the shoulder season. My family and I have been full-time RVing for the past 4 years, and one of our very favorite things to do is to visit the national parks, especially in the off and shoulder seasons. The shoulder seasons are typically April and May and September and October. Visiting the national parks in the high seasons can seem extremely overwhelming, especially in the past few years as visitor counts have skyrocketed, with some high visitation parks receiving over 1 million visitors in a single summer month. So choosing to do your RV vacation to the national parks in the shoulder season is going to allow you to have easier to access reservations, easier to get parking spots, and a lot of times it's also going to come with reduced costs since shoulder season rates are usually lower than those of the summer. Shoulder season visiting is also going to allow you to experience the beauty of nature with a few less humans. A lot of times when we have gone in the shoulder seasons, we are able to go to some of the iconic spots and have it completely to ourselves. Not only is this extremely amazing experience, it also allows us to get really beautiful pictures too. Another reason we love visiting the national parks in the shoulder season is we are able to get much better and much less expensive RV spots in the national parks and in the surrounding communities. We have been able to get same-day reservations inside national parks and right outside of the national parks when we have gone in September and October, and also in April and May. This allows us to have not only better access to the parks, but a lot of times we have those campgrounds almost all to ourselves. And when you're visiting the national parks in the off and shoulder seasons, this also allows you to see a completely different side of the national parks. You're going to see spring flowers blooming or fall colors coming in, or even the entire parks covered in snow. This is going to make you feel like you're experiencing the park all over again, even if you've gone there multiple times. Another fun and often overlooked benefit of visiting national parks and the surrounding communities in the off and shoulder seasons is the local flavor. Since the local communities are typically so busy during the high season, they save a lot of their festivals and markets for the shoulder seasons. So it is really fun experiencing the local flavor through those festivals and markets, and also gives you a great chance of patronizing and bringing income into those smaller communities who do rely on the tourist income so much. All right, so we've shared all of the wonderful reasons why we love visiting the national parks in the shoulder season, but there are a few downsides of RVing to the national parks during that time as well. One of the biggest things you want to be aware of if you're planning on taking your RV through the national park is any seasonal road closures. A lot of the high mountain passes are only open for a few months in the summer and are closed for most of the year. So if you are planning on using those roads during your shoulder season visitation, please make sure you're hopping on nps.gov to check for any road closures in the park that you're planning on going to. You'll also want to check on there for any length restrictions as well. Most national parks you can drive through with an average size RV, but many of them do restrict any longer ones and will turn you away at the gate if your rig exceeds those limitations. And if it does, don't worry, you can usually find a campground right outside the park and then just take a follow car or car you can disconnect from your rig so that you are able to get a campground outside the park and then still visit inside the interior of the national park. Many national parks will save their much needed construction for the shoulder season since they have less people in the park, and then they want to get it done before the colder, harsher winter comes in as well. So while this might not close a lot of the roads, this will slow down your transit time through the park. Road closures for weather or for construction can change hour to hour, so make sure that you're hopping on that nps.gov very often before your trip, and make sure you have a backup plan in case the road that you're really counting on going on is closed during the time of your visit. With less visitation, a lot of the national parks will reduce their operations during the shoulder and off seasons. So this could mean that they have less ranger programs available, that a lot of their visitor centers could either be closed down completely for the off and shoulder seasons or be running on reduced hours. But a lot of times when those visitor centers are closed, they will leave guidebooks and junior ranger programs and maps and things like that right outside, so you are still able to get the information that you need. And if the park you're visiting has a shuttle system, that's most likely only going to be operational during the highest visitation times of the high season. So this will make it so parking is a little bit harder because you are going to have to bring your own vehicle into the park itself. And not only does the park itself reduce operations, many times the communities surrounding the parks also reduce operations. These communities rely a lot on the tourist activity, and it's just not worth it to them to remain open when the tourist activity reduces produces. If tourist amenities are very important to you, be sure to visit in the shoulder season closest to the high season, so right before it starts or right after it ends, to ensure that you have the highest amount of tourist amenities available to you while also enjoying the other benefits of the shoulder season. While weather in national parks can be unpredictable any time of year, it does tend to be more unpredictable during the off and shoulder seasons. So a little preparation can go a long way to make sure that you have a successful and enjoyable trip to the national park. And while we're not going to cover every single thing that you need in your RV in order to have a great trip in the national parks during some inclement weather, we are going to cover some of the very basics. You're going to want to make sure that you have lots of lightweight, waterproof clothing in order to take on and off during your hikes and experiences in the park. You're going to want to make sure that your RV is stocked with extra blankets. You never know when it's going to get really, really cold. Extra propane is fantastic. And then we highly recommend that you take a backup electric heater. So even if you're at an RV park and you have full hookups, if your propane is gone, and we all know that it's gone in the middle of the night, that's when it always goes out, you're going to have that electric heater to keep you warm no matter how cold that it gets outside. We also recommend that you get a heated RV hose, because if it gets freezing, you want to make sure that you still have water. And then you'll want to make sure that you have a nice warm winter jacket as well. Being prepared with some of the basics will make sure that if you have any sort of crazy inclement weather, it'll just turn into a fantastic story to tell later and not something that will completely ruin your entire trip. And then the last tip that we have for you is to stock up before you head out. While we love patronizing local businesses, a lot of times it is hard to find a grocery store that is fully stocked. So we always try to stock up our RV with all of the essentials before we head out into any national parks for any extended amount of time. Especially if you're going out in the off and shoulder seasons, you don't know if grocery stores are going to be open out there. And then if you do get caught in any sort of inclement weather, you want to make sure that you are prepared to weather anything that comes your way while you're experiencing the great beauty of outdoors. RVing the national parks in the off and shoulder seasons might take a little bit more work and preparation, but the payoff is huge as you're able to experience nature in a much more wild and wonderful way. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and happy RVing.